what do you expect from your husband? And she says, after a bit of a silence, bas yaar mare ware na. And this wasn't coming from a small town girl. This is coming from someone who probably has a significant net worth, and yet there is this fear that I would be beaten up in the marriage. We used to have these scenes in the dark decade of Bollywood cinema, 90s. The hero wants to patao the heroine. So he lets loose a few goons upon her, just to impress upon her that she is weak and vulnerable. I shudder to think, what if all these roses and garments and ornaments just a cover up for fear? So all desires arise from a feeling of incompleteness. And there is a great insecurity. What if I live all my life remaining incomplete? What if I die unfulfilled? In fact, you would have heard these statements often. In fact, these are some of the same statements that scaremongers use to target women especially. अकेली रह जाएगी, बुढ़ापे में अकेली मरेगी. No? The more you hear such warnings, the more you covet a darling husband. Even though you know what that fellow is probably going to bring to your life. Wanting per se is neither good nor bad. But when you want from a point of ignorance, when you have never bothered to see that even if your want is fulfilled, it would still leave you unfulfilled, then wanting is a problem. Nothing is always a problem. And everything is a problem from the wrong center. Wanting from the wrong center is a problem. You can also want from the right center. You can have targets from the right center. You can run huge projects and international missions from the right center. Forget small desires. You can have mammoth desires from the right center and they would still be great. We are told, no, you should not desire too much. You can desire too much. And that would still be all right if the desire is from the right center. And even the feeblest desire from the center of ignorance would not be right. Not be right for you. We are not talking in the moral sense here. We are talking in the utilitarian sense here, in the practical sense here. Getting it? There has been lately this controversy. Some internet chaps and comics and stand-up artists, and they have said a few things, and there is a general outrage and everybody is outraging, and massive. So it's all over the place. I was scrolling through my reels and it appeared there as well. There is this girl who is a part of the controversy. There was a small clip that appeared on my screen. She was being interviewed by someone. She was actually being interviewed by someone who has interviewed me as well. So maybe that's the reason it appeared on my feed. So he asks her, and this girl, I do not know her, but from her get-up and mannerisms, she looks like the typical representative of Gen Z, outspoken, mm, unafraid, outgoing, all those things. So this fellow asks her, uh, what do you expect from your husband? A small, like 60-second thing. And she says, after a bit of a silence,
What's your ideal man?
यार मारे वारे ना.
बस यार मारे वारे ना. No, typically I just scroll away. But this wasn't a made up thing. Or at least that's the way it appeared to me. And this wasn't coming from a small town girl coming from the interiors, Jharkhand or Chhattisgarh or eastern UP. This is coming from someone who probably has a significant net worth. A passport carries stamps of at least 10-20 countries she has traveled to. And yet there is this fear that I would be beaten up in the marriage. I don't think she was joking at that point. That was half a second of authenticity. I shudder to think, what if all these roses and garments and ornaments just a cover up for fear? It's the wedding season, right? The sky is pink. And still, another moment, another place, another day, the same person or somebody else like her, would be so desirous of getting into a relationship without ever bothering to inquire why. What is it within me that impels me in such a direction? Are your desires really your friends? Have you seen where your desires come from? And those who have stakes in your desires, will they ever want you to turn inwards? There is just fear within. Especially as a woman, if you will look into your heart, that's what you will find. Not love. The heart for a woman is hardly a symbol of love. That's why I feel so sad for this potentially great country. Half its population has nothing but fear in its heart. That's not to say that the other half is fearless. And from that fear, you can keep taking all kinds of decisions to get into a relationship, to not to get into a relationship, to take up a job, to quit from a job, to have a baby, to not have a baby, to shift to that place, to not to shift to that place, to cover up your body, to reveal your body. You can take all kinds of very distinct decisions from that same center, the center of fear. How does it matter? How does it matter if everything is coming from Fear. Somebody is scared, I would be beaten up. She decides not to marry. Somebody is scared, I would be left alone. She decides to marry. How does it matter? How is it any different? And what would be the quality of relationship? I beg to ask. So you're a man. A woman marries you because she is afraid of being lonely. As a man, should you accept that relationship? Instead, you catch the opportunities with both hands. You want to make her feel even more lonely so that she runs to you even faster. We used to have these scenes in the dark decade of Bollywood cinema, 90s. The hero wants to patao the heroine. So he lets loose a few goons upon her. Just to impress upon her that she is weak and vulnerable. And these goons are obviously buddies of the hero himself. And just when they are about to overpower her, he jumps from some goddamn branch of a tree and takes 4 of them down. And then the lady is all wooed and impressed. Find that cute? You're coercing someone to come to you by inducing fear in that person. That's continuously happening even today. Maybe in not as gross a form, but still happening. There maybe external goons were needed to forcefully make her admit that she is weak. Today you have internal goons. But there is just so much around to make her feel weak. And from that weakness, all kinds of decisions are being taken. And no decision, I repeat, is necessarily right or wrong. You obviously can take the decision to be married, and the decision can be wonderful, provided it is coming from the right center. But is the right center active at all in the first place? It cannot be selectively activated for the purpose of marriage. Or can it be? Everything about your life is coming from the wrong center. And just for one purpose, you say, this is the love of my heart. How come nothing else is coming from your heart in your life? Only this man happens to come from there. Consciousness itself shrivels. Have you seen how you behave when you are afraid? See a turtle when it's afraid? What does it do? It shrinks into itself. It covers itself up with its armor. Not a pretty sight, or is it? Turtles can be cute. But all that you get to see, if it's an armor, how cute is that? In the name of a turtle, if you see just the inverted plate, the armor, is it cute? No. That's how 1/2 of the population of my country looks. Only armored. Because they operate from fear. And then I'm saying there is a shrinking. Whereas the nature of consciousness is to expand. That's where fulfillment of life lies, in expansion. Therefore, the scriptures, the philosophies often equate the true state of consciousness to the sky, in the sense of expansion and freedom and limitlessness. Where is expansion? Where is freedom? There is only the desperate urge for security. And one can understand that urge. If you are always behind someone, right from her childhood, chasing her, indoctrinating her, conditioning her, terrifying her, nobody is a superwoman. People do get terrified. And when you are afraid, you can get wicked. When you know what the world is doing to you, you want to give it back in the same way. And then men come up and play the victim. She exploited me. What the hell have you trained her for all her life? You have trained her to get exploited. He said, I have one fleeting chance here. Let me just pay them back in their currency. Isn't it tragic? Men come up on that same screen and ask questions about all things in life. And when women come up, 70% questions pertain just to you have left her with just this. She will not talk about the Middle East. She will not talk of the reciprocal tariffs that Trump and Musk are bringing in. She will not talk of Harley Davidson sales and what the tariff system will do to that. She will talk of that's 50% of your population. We are talking of 50% of our species. And I'm saying you starve the woman and you've starved the man as well. Because man does require the woman as company. And if you have a person, you have yourself weakened and sickened and terrified and reduced. What will the company of that person do to you? Please tell me. I inject a certain virus into you. And then I keep you for my company. What am I doing to myself? I'm injecting that virus into myself. Through you. That's what man has done to woman. You reduce the woman, and through the woman, you will be reduced.